All right, all of my lovely students, today we are going to be doing our 90 degree for NOCTI. Everybody's going to watch me do a demonstration on the first section. We always have to start out with taking a 1-inch perimeter down. From that 1-inch perimeter, we are going to create a straight line. Now I want everybody to take off about an inch. I'm just going to take off about an inch because we are going to do this haircut several times. Make sure that your fingers are parallel to the part. Make sure that your part is nice and straight. Make sure that your fingers are parallel to the part. One more time.
Fingers parallel to the part.
I'm cutting a straight line. When I go to the next section, I'm using my wide tooth comb to do what?
Part.
To part. Small tooth comb, I'm flipping it to do what?
Cut.
Do you see me at any point putting my comb down?
No.
Make sure that you keep your comb and your scissors in your hand. Palm your scissors when not in use. Continuing, I'm going to keep my fingers parallel to this part. If I swing, what's going to end up happening? It's going to start a U shape. We don't want that. A uniform layered haircut is completely even layers of hair throughout the entire head. Now I'm going to come on this side. I'm going to use half of the section that half of my guide that I created in the middle. Again, my fingers are what? Parallel to the part. And I'm going to cut straight across. Again, fingers parallel to the part. Straight. You see what happens once I start to swing? What happens? I start taking off what? Way too much hair. See the difference? If you see all that I would cut off if I swung. Now look at how much I'm cutting off. It's not as much, right? You see the difference? Which is why it's important to stay in your what? In your box. In your section. Okay? Now we're going to check and make sure that we're even. This side looks a little bit longer to me. So I'm going to go and cut just a little teeny bit more off of this side to ensure that it's nice and even. Because if it's not even, what's going to happen? The rest of the haircut is going to be what, Anthony? Uneven. Exactly. All right. So now we're ready to go. We're going to go and start in the middle. Why are we going to start directly in the middle? Why are we starting in the middle, everybody?
So it's even on both sides.
Correct. So I want you to take about an inch subsection in the middle of the head. For right now, if you want to get the rest of this hair up, you can. You can use a clip to get the rest up for right now because you're not using it right this second. Thank you. So, how do I know where I'm going to start cutting my line? What am I using?
Meet the guide.
I'm using the guide that I created, that original guide. You're only taking that first little subsection and taking it straight across at a 0 degree. Do not take that whole section and keep bringing it down and bringing it to a 0. I saw some other students doing that. That is wrong. That's wasting time because have I at any point created a layer like that? No. So that's not the haircut that we're doing. Now, because the head is a spherical shape, back here, how does the head lie? What does the head do? It curves under. So it starts here, and then as it moves up, it curves and it curves completely back over. Guess what else? It does the same thing on the sides. It curves. This is not a box. If the head was a box, then you would go here and here. But the head isn't a box like that. So you have to go with the shape in order to have that uniform layer, okay? So to start our first section, I'm going to take about half of it and pulling my hand straight out from my head. And I'm going to create a straight line off of my guideline that I just created. Now I'm going to take my second section and I'm going to pull that up a little bit higher because now touch the head if you need to and then come out. And then straight up. Okay, does everybody see what I just did?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have now created my guideline for this one section.
So Ms. Barnes, why you don't keep it how you just had it? Like
Because of the way how the head, so the head back here is down here. But then the head here is here. The head here is going to be here. The head here is here. The head here is here. Shape of the head continues to what? Change as I do what? Go up the head. So if I never change my fingers and I keep bringing all of this hair down, what's going to happen? Is it going to be uniform?
No.
You're going to create layers, but they're going to be more of a 30 degree or a 45 degree. It's not going to be a 90 degree, which is a uniform layer. So what that means is whatever I cut, let's just say this is 6 inches here. If I pull this hair here, it should be 6 inches. If I pull this hair here, it should be 6 inches. But if you don't do what I'm showing you and you pull it all back, we know distance equals what? In hair cutting. Level 3, distance equals what?
I was gonna say
In hair cutting. You got it.
all right.
What's she
Distance
say?
equals length. So anytime you drag hair back and cut it, you're leaving it longer. Okay? Alright, so I have my first guide established. Now, this is a traveling guide. So what does that mean? The guide has to constantly do what with me? Has to constantly travel with me.
Wait, ain't
So,
that piece of hair shorter?
I'm going to re-wet this down because you want to keep the hair saturated, because everybody in here knows that wet hair stretches more than dry hair. So in order for me to have a uniform haircut when I'm done, I need to continue to keep the same saturation as when I first started. I'm going to take a inch parting again. Now, how much guide do I actually need? So this is the guide that I just created. How much of that do I need? Do you think I need all of it? I only need how much of it? Half of it. So I'm going to cut that right down the middle. And I'm going to take half of it with me. How many guides do I have right now in my hand?
One.
I have 2. What's the original guide that I had? At the where? At that baseline. So I have my baseline as my guide, as well as this subsection that I just did as my guide. So I have 2. So I'm connecting one point to another. That's how I know you get haircut. That's how I know you'll understand hair cutting. If you're still cutting and you have no clue what you're doing or why, you don't get it. If you understand, is it a traveling guide? Is it coming to me? Am I taking the new subsection to the guide, or is the guide coming to me? Is my fingers parallel to the new section that I'm cutting? All of that plays a role. So if you don't understand that, it's going to be difficult. That's why I tell you to be quiet when you're cutting. You do not want to talk because there's too many things that you're thinking about while you're cutting, okay? So I'm going to make sure that I bring my guide over to this section that I'm cutting. Again, fingers parallel to the part. I have a guide at the bottom, and I have a guide where?
At the top.
Right here on this side of me. Remember? Does everybody see it?
Yeah.
So do I have to guess as to what I'm cutting right now?
No.
No.
So if you are guessing, what does that mean?
You're not doing it.
You're not doing it right. You either don't have a guide. If you don't see a guide, what do? You do not cut. Because if I do not see a guide, more than likely I'm either going to cut the guide, or I'm going to cut past the guide, which is going to give me a new guide, which is going to constantly create new guidelines throughout the hair. So is it ever going to be even?
No.
It's not. So a lot of times when I see students and their haircuts are all choppy, that tells me that you continue to lose your guide. Your hair should be nice and straight. So now we're at our next section. Get rid of what you just had. You just got to keep some guide in your hand. See? That's the other thing. You guys sometimes keep too much of the other hair in your hand. You can't do that because you don't ever cut past your what? Second knuckle. So I have a guide down here and I have a guide right here. You see it? So all I'm going to do is stop my hands right where I can still see my guide. This is what some of you do too. So if I do that, when I go to cut, am I ever going to meet to my guide?
No.
Because I'm going to do what? Always. Cut past it. Is that going to give me an even haircut?
No.
Never. Yes. So I'll do it again. Reposition my fingers. Again. Guide is there. Guide is at the bottom. I'm going to meet it so that when I go to cut, the scissors can still go on my finger for a nice steady line, for me to cut a line. Okay, another thing, you don't see Miss Barnes cutting up in the air doing Pac-Man. We don't do that. We do nice precision lines in here. Okay, so now again, I'm only going to take half of the subsection, half of the guide that I just cut. Get this out of my way because I don't need it. And I'm going to take an inch subsection of what I need to still cut. So I'm going to bring this with me. Again, I'm going to take half at a time. Nobody should have left right now. We're not doing anything. What are you doing, Janaea? Okay, I think you should be over here watching. Guide and a guide. Everybody see it? Yeah. Let me make sure that my fingers are parallel to the part, because that's crucial. Guide and guide right there. Take half of that. I don't need it right now. Take my next section. Why am I moving my fingers? Because why? Make sure you're working off a nice even parts too. If you're not working off of a nice even part like this, your haircut is probably not going to come out too nice. Because the moment I incorporate stragglers from over there, I'm creating what automatically? Distance, right? So is it going to be even or is it going to be off? Okay, so all of that plays a role. So I'm changing up my finger position. Right now, you see my guide?
Yeah.
Guide to guide. Easy, right? Okay, next section. Of course, I'm slowing this down so you guys can see it. Once you understand it, you don't have to go this slow. But until you get it, go this slow. All right? Guide to guide. Take half of what I just did. Making sure that I'm combing up really nice at the base as well. And I'm cutting. I'm going to do these last two sections. This is where I see some of the students, you struggle too when you get to the ends. You pull it back. Again, if I pull it back instead of pulling it up where the hair lies, what happens? Create what? I create that length again. So again, a uniform haircut is the lengths are totally even all over, okay? All right, so again, I'm continuing to bring my guide with me as I cut. Last section, I'm just going to take some of what I just cut as my guide. Now I'm going to bring that over to about right here. So I don't have a part, so I have to act like the hairline is my part, okay? But we're not doing this. We're not bringing it all the way over because what am I going to end up doing? Cutting too much. If I bring it back, I'm going to make it too long. You have to make sure that you are working right off of the subsection that you intend to cut. All right, so half at a time. So again, it's right there. I'm gonna cut that, and then I'm gonna get the rest. Point to point. Let me grab that again. I might have too much guide in my hands. If you have too much guide in your hands, get rid of it. Because sometimes if you have too much guide in your hands, it can actually throw you off too. All right, so we got that side done, and then we're going to do similar on this other side. The only difference is my guide is traveling with me this way. All right, so sometimes students get mixed up with that as well because they're trying to figure out, okay, I just did the opposite on this side. Now what do I do on this side? So on this side, when I go to create my new part, I'm going to take my 1-inch section, and then I'm going to take, and again, if you need to get this out of your way, get it out your way. It's okay. Now I'm going to take half of my subsection that was in the middle because I'm back on this side. But I need to do what? Now which way am I bringing the guide? I'm bringing the guide to the right. Okay? But my fingers need to be parallel to the part from what side?
Left. Right.
To the right. All right? Don't do that.
It wasn't in it.
All right. Again, we're doing the same thing. Oh, guide is there. Sorry, I was about to do the opposite. See the guide? Now it's on this side. The guide is on this side. The opposite of what we just did. So you're going to have in hair cutting, there's going to be a side that's easier for you, and then there's going to be a more difficult side. So you're going to have to figure out, see the guide, everybody? Mm-hmm. Okay. So now I'm going to take and establish another 1-inch subsection. I'm going to take half of what I just did. Nasia, you can't see what I'm doing from over there. Please come over here.
Yeah, I can see.
All right. Fingers parallel to my part. Guide in my hand. Guide here. Guide at the bottom. Take half of what you just did. Drop it. Again, fingers are coming off of where the hair lies. Guide is in the front. Guide is at the bottom. If you don't see it, what do you need to do? What do you need to do if you don't see it?
To not cut,
Or add more of that.
and you have to look for your.
Alright, you guys, some of you aren't paying attention. You're going to struggle. You're going to struggle when you start. You're going to be like, man, I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention. It's not as easy as it looks. I know a lot of times I make things look easy, but I've been doing this for many, many years. Alright, again, fingers are going to be parallel to this part right here. I'm taking the guide over to the subsection that I'm cutting. Guide, guide, cut. I am cutting a straight line up and down. I'm just cutting it off from where the hair lies. Take half of what you just did, get rid of it. Guide, guide, cut straight across. Half. At this point, I could take the rest. If you need to, get rid of the hair that you're not using right now. If it starts to confuse you, get rid of it. If you want to clip it up, clip it up. The more you do haircuts, it'll make more sense to you. But for now, as a beginner, sometimes it just starts to get all over the place. Also, too, like I told you before, your finger strength between these two fingers, between your pointer and your middle finger, aren't as strong yet. So I know I make it look easy when I grab the hair and pull it. You're still, because I've done it for many years, I have that strength there. You have to develop it. But you develop it by proper handling of the hair when you're cutting. Okay? And everything else, all those manipulative skills. What did we just do? Our perm wrap. What happens when you do a perm wrap? What do you have to use before you even put the rod on? You gotta use, that's why I tell y'all don't do what? Because if you bunch all the time, are you ever building up these two? Are you gonna ever cut somebody's hair bunching? So why even, that's why I don't let you do it. Because there's no purpose of bunching. It's not helping you at all. But if you do these two fingers like I teach you, the more you do it, what's going to happen? You get this strength there. Okay? You don't need it in this hand for what?
I'm just saying.
You don't need it. You just need to be able to do all of this. You need to be able to flip with your dominant hand. You need to be able to do what? Thumb in, thumb out, all of that. Okay? So there's other things this hand needs to do. This hand needs to know how to properly part your dominant hand. Okay? This is your non-dominant, which is why you got to build the strength up. Make sense? All right. So we're going to take half of it again. Right off of our part. That is, oh, I don't even see the guy. Oh,
Ms. Barnes, how long does this haircut normally take you?
for me, it probably take me about maybe 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Okay. You wanna time me?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
I kind of want to start.
I love how y'all doubt me, but that's all good.
It's a joke. Oh,
It's all good though. I'm not playing this time. What happened the last time somebody doubted me?
You know. I don't think anyone doubted you though.
That
Yeah.
guy, what's his name?
He was playing with y'all. He was like, y'all not riding with your
boy,
teacher?
Tyreek.
Okay,
Why
we're
did
gonna
you
stop
do
doing
a
that. You do
haircut?
know that I have a whole video over
Oh, I
here
forgot.
going on. Disrespectful. All right, right here, guide. Y'all are crazy. I don't think his wife would appreciate y'all making these comments. Anyway, I digress. All right, done. Go over there and do your one section.